Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to AJ117, Introduction to Terrorism and Homeland Security. My name is Tony Farrar, and I will be your instructor for this semester. Just briefly, a little bit about myself. I have over 34 years of law enforcement experience, retiring in December of 2015 as the Chief of Police for the Rialto Police Department in San Bernardino County, California. My education consists of a master's degree in police administration, a master's degree in business administration, and a master's degree in criminology and police management from the University of Cambridge Institute of Criminology in Cambridge, England. And we can talk a little bit more about what it's like to attend college in the UK as we go through the semester. But this morning's lecture is going to cover the syllabus review. Now, it's important to remember that your course check-in consists of two very important parts. The first part being the discussion board check-in, and the second part being the syllabus quiz. And all of that information you can find in your course canvas in the orientation module. So please make sure that you navigate through that. And I will also show you what the course canvas looks like at the end of this lecture. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and jump right into this morning's syllabus review. So as previously noted, this is AJ117. The section number is 3539. The course name is Introduction to Terrorism and Homeland Security. We are, of course, in the fall 2020 semester, and this is an online class. Now, beneath that, if you're following along, I have my instructor contact information. I am currently assigned to the Menifee campus, and I have listed for you here my office phone number, my email, my Twitter account information, and I also have two links. The first one is to the MSJC Criminal Justice Club Facebook, and the second one is to the Career Education website. You will find both of those extremely helpful if you're wanting to get a little bit more involved in criminal justice, perhaps form a study group or hang out with some individuals that are interested in criminal justice. And then the Career Ed website, of course, if you're planning on pursuing any type of criminal justice career, this is a great place for you to go and get some more information and make sure you're following the proper roadmap or path for your educational endeavors. Now, with that being said, my office hours, again, I'm on the Menifee campus. My office is in the 3000 building. I have on-campus office hours that you can see here, but I also have online office hours. So for this particular course, Wednesday night, from 6 to 7 p.m. I will host office hours. I'll send out a little bit more information during the first week of class. I'm also available at any time by appointment, or keep in mind that email is the best way to get in touch with me. If you do email me, please do me a favor. Place AJ117 3539 Intro to Terrorism and your name in the subject line of the email. So I have an example here using my information for our AJ117 3539 Introduction to Terrorism. And the reason for this is because of the fact that I teach several classes. Doing this will make it easier for me to know exactly who you are and what class you are in very quickly. And then I can get back to you a lot more expedient and get you all the information that you need. Also, all emails should come from your MSJC email account. Please don't use your personal email. Now, if you are requested to submit a written assignment in Canvas, and you are going to be, please do me a favor, submit it in Microsoft Word. If you send or attach that document in any other word processor format, something like WordPerfect, or through a third-party software like Google Docs or something similar, there's no guarantee that I'm going to be able to open the document or read it. And if I can't open it, I can't read it. If I can't read it, I can't grade it. So do me a favor and do your best to follow that process. If you do not know how to set up your email, or you need other tech information help, you can email me and I can try to help you, or you can contact the college help desk for assistance. One thing just to kind of keep a note on is that the syllabus is a living document, meaning that it is subject to change during the semester. I typically don't like to change things, but sometimes it's necessary to move something or change something. If I do this, you will be made aware of any change when they occur in the form of either an email or an announcement via Canvas. If you have any questions at any time about the course, you can email me direct, or you can post the question in the general question area called the Donut Shop. I know, go figure. And I will show you where that is in the course Canvas shell at the end of this lecture. I would also suggest that you save a copy of the syllabus. Either you can print it out, or you can save a copy on your desktop or what have you, just for reference and review. Please keep in mind that all assignments and related due dates are in the syllabus, and therefore, at the end of the day, it really is your responsibility to read them and to follow them. It's not my responsibility to remind you of tests or quizzes or any type of due date for an assignment. However, I will, but still at the end of the day, I need you to do the due diligence, if you will, and keep track of all those due dates. It'll just make things work out a heck of a lot better. So what is this course all about? Let's talk about the description of the class. So this course covers the historical and contemporary issues interrelating terrorism, intelligence, and homeland security. The course represents not only a scholarly approach to the study of terrorism, but it also incorporates the real-world experience of federal agents and police officers who have been tasked with preventing terrorism in our country. It's also designed to help you, the student, develop a solid working knowledge of people, ideas, organizations, and current issues in the field of terrorism and homeland security. So a lot of information that's going to come forward out of this course. Next, I have the Administration of Justice and Corrections, our program learning outcomes, the course learning outcomes, and then finally the course learning objectives. And I'm not going to go through each one of these. I'm going to let you read those at your leisure. So next up is I want to look at the textbook. So the title of the textbook is Terrorism, Intelligence, and Homeland Security. It's the second edition from Pearson Publishing, and you can see the author and the rest of the information, the ISBN number, etc. I have a picture of what the cover looks like, but I also wanted to let you know that if you prefer and you can only get your hands on the first edition, there should be plenty of second editions out there, but the first edition will work as well. There are only some minor changes from the first edition to the second edition, and I will cover those changes in the lectures and in the PowerPoints and in the notes, etc. So if you end up with the first edition, that's fine. Don't stress out about it. The second edition, of course, is the most up-to-date edition, but again, the first will work. Next up would be, and we're at the top of the page here, if you're following along, would be the California Penal Code. This is not the primary textbook, but I just wanted you to know that we will be referring to this book from time to time. And if you don't know what the Penal Code is, it's a list of all the laws and codes in California. And each state has their own code. So this would be the California Penal Code. Now again, if you don't have a copy of the Penal Code, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't go out and buy one, because you can access all of the information that you're going to need online. And this will help you as we look at several of the different codes and how they apply to modern policing and homeland security and terrorism, etc. So for all related California codes, I put a link into legalinfo.gov, and you can find all of the laws and all of the codes for California. So with that being said, don't worry about that. Next up will be the course check-in. We spoke about that just briefly a few minutes ago. This class is going to open on Monday, August 17th, 2020 at 8 a.m. in the morning. So please make sure that you check in using discussion board number 1, and you'll find that again in that orientation module. This will be your official check-in for the class. And remember, as part of the check-in, you will also need to complete a very short 10-question quiz on the syllabus. That's the second part. You will have until Sunday, August 23rd at 11 p.m. to complete this process. So you get 6 days basically to check in. Failure to complete the check-in process will in fact result in you being dropped from the class. So please, please, please make sure that you complete both parts of the check-in process. And I'll show you where you can find that at the end of this lecture. We'll look at the course canvas. So let's look at the course guidelines. This is a somewhat fast-paced course with a lot of reading and information that's going to be provided to you weekly. With that being said, I need you to keep up with the readings. Don't rely just on the PowerPoint lectures to get you through the class. Some of the legal terms may be difficult to understand at first. Therefore, you're going to need to read the textbook chapters fully to understand them and to also add some context to the subject matter. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, in some cases, you might need to look up a new word or a term on the internet or the penal code or in a law dictionary. But at any time, if you have a problem with any concept or any key term, etc., let me know and I will discuss it in Canvas in the general discussion area, or I'll send out an announcement. Keep in mind also that this is not a super easy class. It's going to require a lot of work on your part to do well. However, this class can be extremely rewarding from all of the knowledge that you're going to gain regarding terrorism and homeland security and information and intelligence. So with that, let's kind of move into some of the expectations regarding the class. So here are some of the course expectations, and we're at the bottom of this page and we're going to go into the top of the next one. So course expectations. Students will participate and complete a variety of activities that will achieve the learning objectives, which include the following. Number 1, reading the required materials. That includes the PowerPoints, the lecture notes, the articles, and yes, the textbook chapters. Number 2, viewing the weekly videos relating to each chapter, which include things like the PowerPoints with audio. I do the video lectures on the chapter, and of course any other case study videos. Number 3, participating in thoughtful and timely discussions via the discussion board, and we'll talk a little bit more about discussions in a couple of minutes. Number 4, completing the online course matching exercise assessment. So this is something that's new. It's going to be built into each weekly module. And it allows you to, it's a matching exercise that has a key term and definitions. And you can test yourself on learning those definitions by matching up the word with the definition. And you can take that as many times as you want. It's not graded. It's more to help you become more proficient in learning those definitions, because sometimes there's a lot of terms and definitions in a lot of these different textbooks. Number 5, completing the online and timed quizzes. Number 6, completing the online and timed exams. Number 7, completing the case study. And then finally, number 8, completing the midterm writing assignment. A little notation here. Please note that failing to participate in the discussion boards or missing quizzes or exams or failing to turn in any other assignments or missing a combination of these activities may cause you to be dropped from the class. Typically, if I start to see somebody kind of lagging behind, I will send you a reminder email just letting you know, hey, how are things going? What can I do to help you out, etc., to try to get you kind of back up to speed. And again, I will send out reminders typically weekly reminders. And I don't know, some of you might even get annoyed by my weekly reminders, but I'm here to help you. But again, at the end of the day, remember, it's your responsibility to keep track of all the due dates, etc. All right, next up, synchronous meetings. So during the semester, we're going to have several different opportunities to meet online via Zoom. And these meetings will be announced in advance, and will be opportunities for everyone to exchange information or ask questions or cover major issues or topics or anything else that you want to talk about. So I'll give you plenty of heads up time for these synchronous meetings that we're going to have. Next is online readiness. Please make sure that you are ready for an online class. If you have already read about the course expectations, but you need to make sure that you understand what is expected of you as an online student, I have a couple of links there. The first one is a link to the MSJC online learning page. And the next one is a link to the online learning page where they have different video tutorials and other information to help you gauge not just the expectations of online learning, but to kind of figure out whether or not you are ready and what you need to do to better prepare yourself for an online environment. So now let's talk about technology. You are responsible for your computer equipment and internet connection independent of the campus. What that means is that you will need to plan your coursework to be able to accommodate any type of computer-related issue or other problem. Now, if it's something on the college end, like Canvas goes down and you can't access the test, or something happens on the college side, that's fine. Don't worry about it. I'll definitely give you more time and we'll be able to make things up. However, I need you to plan for issues that happen, because sometimes they do. We all know that technology is a great thing, but sometimes it doesn't always work right, or we can't get it to work right. So plan accordingly to make sure that you can get your assignments done and turned in by the due dates. So next up, I've outlined some of the basic functions of Canvas. So for you to be successful in this course, you really need to check your Canvas a minimum, I would say, 2 times per week. You need to look in all areas to make sure that you are well informed about assignments, due dates, etc. And some of the areas that we're going to talk about just briefly are areas that I think you should focus on. The first one, and one of the more important ones, would be the modules. And this is where your weekly assignments are going to be located. Remember at the beginning of this lecture, I talked about how the course assignments are broken down into weekly modules. So that's what we're going to talk about. So I'm going to basically title each module so you're going to know exactly which week the information is for. So example might be Module 1 will be titled Unit 1, and Unit 1 will contain all the assignments needed to complete Week 1's work. The units and modules will contain things like the audio lectures, the PowerPoints, any links to videos or articles or exams and quizzes, or any other related guides or information that you need to complete that chapter. And the reason for putting all of this information in these weekly modules is to make it easier for you to be able to find everything for each week. You don't have to click around all over the place. And again, we'll take a look at what the modules look like at the end of this lecture. So discussions is another important area. This is where group discussions are going to occur on various topics. I will have a discussion board for general questions as well. Remember, I told you it was the donut shop. And we'll talk more about cops and donuts and stuff like that later on. But anyway, in this area, I might post links to certain videos I want you to watch, or some other general information, or some reminders, or articles, or etc. And this is an area where you can also post questions, and either myself or another student might jump on there and help answer the question. So again, this is an important area to keep an eye on. Announcements. This is the area where you're going to find announcements for the class, including relevant information on any changes, things changed to maybe an exam or a quiz or any other type of upcoming information that I really need you to know about. Next would be the gradebook. And the gradebook function is, I'll show you where it is, but this is where you can monitor your grades as they're posted. One thing to keep in mind, if you don't see a grade in a certain assignment area, you need to make sure that you actually submitted the assignment because sometimes things happen and you forget. So if you see a blank or a 0, that means that you didn't turn it in or I didn't receive it on my end. But if you need more information on that, you can email me direct and we can figure out what the problem is. Extra credit. This is the area where you can find the extra credit assignment. There will be opportunities for extra credit. Keep in mind, extra credit can be date specific, so make sure that you read the assignment and take note of the dates involved. With all that said, how are we going to learn all this? Well, these are the instructional methods. So lectures, news articles, visual aids, videos, PowerPoints, some class participation via Zoom, class discussions, written assignments, quizzes, exams. We're going to do all of that. Also, you are always welcome to attend any of the in-class presentations from any of the guest speakers that I have in any of my face-to-face classes. And of course, I will let you know well in advance of any of those dates, times, and locations. Academic support, this is available to all students at the MSJC LRC or through the help desk. We are hoping to have another student tutor for AJ. We've had one the last couple of semesters and we're working on firming things up at the time of this video, so I can't give you the information, but I will send that out as we get closer towards the probably week 1 or week 2. I'll make sure that I get that information out so you have all of that. Next, the school website. Again, please check Canvas and your email at least twice a week for class announcements, PowerPoints, assignments, class syllabus, links to articles, or any type of other related information. Again, remember, it is your responsibility to monitor Canvas for any changes or other type of information that I send out. So next, student code of conduct. This is available in the MSJC catalog, and I encourage everyone to read it. If you do not have a catalog, you can look at one in the library, the enrollment office, or you can actually find it online. Please do me a favor. One of the big things is because we are online and we have discussion boards, I just want everybody to understand that I need you to keep track of your language or pay attention to what you're saying when you're using discussion boards or similar. And the reason for that is understanding that discussion boards are meant for us all to learn and to look at other opinions and other viewpoints, because we don't want to all be the same. We want to learn from other people's information, and we want to be polite and understand that everybody has a different thought on certain things. So enough said on that. Netiquette, if you want to know a little bit more about conduct, especially on the internet, netiquette is a kind of a word for network etiquette or the etiquette of cyberspace. In other words, it's a set of rules for how do we behave properly online. The author, Virginia Shea, has defined the issues and discussed them at length on netiquette in her book called Netiquette. You may view a brief summary of her core rules at the following website, and I have a link there that you can go to see that. And it's not going to answer all of the netiquette questions, but it will provide you with some basic principles to use in solving many different dilemmas as it relates to etiquette online. A couple of other helpful websites I've incorporated in the syllabus are here. There's links to Cornell Law and SupremeCourt.gov. Okay, so now let's get into some more exciting stuff. Well, exciting for me, maybe not as much for you, but let's talk about exams and quizzes. So, and we're right here if you're following along. The quiz and exam questions will come directly from the textbook, the lecture PowerPoints, the audio lecture, or any designated article or video that I put out there. And each week, you're going to have at minimum a reading assignment, a video lecture along with the PowerPoint, a short 10-question quiz that covers the corresponding chapter, and either a discussion topic or a question. So it'll be one of those two. Now, in addition, overall through the whole course, you're going to have 3 chapter exams. Those are the larger exams that encompass the shorter chapters. 1 midterm writing assignment and 1 case study. In each weekly unit, as I said earlier, there's going to be a matching or self-evaluation or assessment exercise that covers the key terms of the chapter. This is a non-graded exercise for you to help you learn the key terms, and you can take it as many times as you want, no worries, and it's a great way to study and learn some of the different definitions. So a little more specificity now on discussion boards. Discussion boards are typically what I call reflective in nature. Therefore, they're meant to make you really think about something. Perhaps even think about it enough to research it a little bit, to consider other perspectives, and then to provide a response. Now, you're going to have a total of 13 discussion boards and 1 course check-in discussion board. So you have 14 total, but you'll have 13 and 1. And each discussion board is graded. It's worth up to 10 points. So when responding to discussion boards, make sure you read the information and or watch the corresponding video or article, and then respond with what I like to call a complete, well thought out response. If you want full credit for your response, what I'm saying is that the response must be at least 5 sentences in length. Also, don't just copy the response from another person's post. The more focused and thought out the response, the more points you're going to get. Make sense? Don't just respond with "I agree." Tell me what you really think about the question or the issue. Now, with that said, feel free to respond or comment on another person's post, because that's how we get the discussion going. So some shorter responses are good on other posts, and they can be longer as well. But remember, for your initial post, it needs to be complete and well thought out, and it needs to be at least 5 sentences in length. So let's look at the case study. So here's just going over quickly some of the assignments. The case study is called the ticking time bomb scenario. And I'll let you read these at length, but basically it talks about should torture of a suspected terrorist determined to destroy an area, let's say of the US or wherever, and it's going to harm innocent individuals, would that be permissible because of the situation that we're in? And I'm not going to kind of, again, go through the whole thing, but here's the case study. It's got the information. And then I have the scenario for the case study listed down below. This is also in your Canvas shell, and it'll be listed in a separate area, and I'll show you where it's at. But I wanted you to see where this is. Next is the extra credit. This is one of the extra credit assignments. There could possibly be more, but for one of the extra credit assignments, I have the Richard Jewell case. And this is a very famous case that happened on July 27th, 1996 in the Summer Olympics, if you remember, in Atlanta, the pipe bombing. So I'm not going to go through the whole thing here. I will let you read that at your leisure, but I wanted you to know where it's at. And then down here you have the information as to how the assignment needs to be completed. Okay, so just kind of another note here. This course follows, again, basically a weekly modular format. And because of that, all the lectures, the quizzes, the PowerPoints, the discussions, everything else is going to be posted in those weekly folders. And they will be available on Monday mornings at 8 a.m. And then all assignments for that particular week are going to be due by 11 p.m. on the following Sunday night. So here we are right here if you're following along. As an example, this class is going to officially open on Monday, August 17th at 8 a.m. That means you're going to have until the following Sunday, which is August 23rd at 11 p.m. to complete everything in that first module. Hopefully that makes sense. And that week 1 module is going to be the orientation module. All right. As a general rule, and here we're dropping down here, there are no makeup assignments. And the reason for this is because you have 6 days to complete each of the weekly assignments, everything in the folder. Therefore, it's really up to you to get the work done. And with that being said, I understand that everybody's only human and emergencies happen. Therefore, emergencies will be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. Emergencies that I can think of just off the top of my head would be things like jury duty or military deployment or a verified medical emergency. But again, and I keep going back to it, please keep in mind that it is your responsibilities to make time for completing the assignments. Please, please, please do not wait until the last minute to do your work. And while I will do my best, my very best, maybe to the point of annoyance, to remind you of due dates and other information, ultimately, it is your responsibility to know when things are due and to plan accordingly. So let me give you some helpful hints by talking about 3 main issues that I see. So there are basically 3 main issues that I see with online students who experience problems. First is the inability to keep track of due dates. You need to be able to self-pace and regulate, meaning keeping track of assignment due dates and not waiting until the last minute to do the assignments. Second, thinking that because there are many assignments, if I just miss a few, it really doesn't matter. If I miss this quiz, it's no big deal. Well, the reality is it does, because missing assignments can add up really quickly, and before you know it, you'll find yourself behind. So again, keep track of when things are due and set time aside to do them. And finally, set up your electronic device, whatever it is that you're using, or all of them, to receive notifications or important announcements once they're sent out or posted. It's important that you get the information as quickly as possible. So again, and then one other really quick note, and I'll show you what this looks like. On the weeks that you have those larger chapter exams, you're still going to be required to do the short quiz. And again, the quizzes are to ensure that you've been exposed to the content from each chapter. And here's a really helpful hint. Prepare for the quizzes. Do well on the quizzes. And if you do well on the quizzes, you're going to do well on the chapter exams. Okay, so we're going to look at grading, because I know that that's like super important to a lot of you, if not all of you. So I have the grading scale up here. I run the class by points. Don't always, when you look at your grade, I have it tallied in points, not by percentage, because sometimes percentage can be misleading. So take a look at the points. All right, so you can see here, these are all the graded assignments. We have our 3 chapter exams. We have our chapter discussion boards. We have the check-in discussion board. We have the syllabus quiz check-in, the midterm paper, all the chapter quizzes, talked about those, the case study, and your total possible points. Now, the above point total, again, keep in mind, is subject to change because I may add or take away an assignment, a quiz or a test, or I might even increase or decrease the number of questions. I typically don't like to change things, but sometimes things just happen. Throughout the course, you'll have opportunities, as I said before, to earn extra credit. Currently, there's one fixed extra credit assignment that's already posted, and we talked about that. That was the Richard Jewell case study. Next, I have some important dates for you to look at. I'll let you look at these at your leisure. Talking about disability, if you have any issues that you need, Mount San Jacinto College abides by the American with Disabilities Act and Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 that prohibits federal and state agencies or programs from discriminating against qualified individuals with disabilities. Students in this course who have a documented disability that limits a major life activity which may have some impact on your work in the class for which you may receive accommodation should meet with a counselor in the DSPS program as soon as possible. If you need any type of assistance, please meet with those folks or email me direct, and I will help you out with whatever it is that you need. All right, the written assignment, we're not going to go through the whole thing, but this is your midterm paper. And as you go through the orientation process, and I'll show you, there's going to be some extra videos on how to write in APA style and how to do your reference page and do the citations. All of that information is there, so don't panic. But this is going to be your midterm paper. It's going to be the U.S. Patriot Act and the USA Freedom Act. And you can see here, to help you out with this particular paper, I have questions that I want you to answer, and you can see there's an error right here that I just found. So it's supposed to be 1 through 6, not 2 5s, but I think we can clear that up really quick. Here are the directions for your midterm paper, and I'll let you go through all of these at your leisure. I'm not going to spend all the time going through all of that. The important part right here is to note that I'm going to post on Canvas an instructional video on how to complete your paper in the APA style. And this video is going to include examples on formatting the cover page, the abstract, and the reference page, along with a step-by-step kind of instruction on how to cite and format your references. So you shouldn't have any questions. And if you do, we can still go over it. Information on how to upload your essay is also going to be posted in Canvas as well, and I'll show you where that's at. The next thing to cover quick, and then we're going to look at the class schedule and the actual course Canvas shell, is plagiarism. And without just spending too much time on this, copying even a part of a sentence from a text article or a news story in a paper without acknowledging the source or using quotes if you need to is plagiarism. Copying and changing just a word or two is still plagiarism. Additional information, you can go here to plagiarism.com. One of the rules of thumb that I put in here, if you didn't think of it yourself or it's not common knowledge, cite it. If you're not really sure, cite it, because you're not going to get marked down for citing. So I've got some other information here for you. All right, so here's the course outline. So I wanted to show you how the weeks go. So remember we talked about how this is broken up into weekly modules and units. So week 1, the first week of class, here are the dates of week 1. And during week 1, this is what we plan on completing. You have the check-in and the course orientation, going through the course Canvas, making sure you are reviewing the syllabus review video, which is what we're doing right now, completing the discussion board check-in and the syllabus quiz. Week 2, here are the dates. Remember, the course opens on Monday. It would be the 24th at 8 a.m. and it's going to close on the 30th at 11 p.m. Week 2, Unit 1, Chapter 1. You can see how this works. We're going to talk about defining, conceptualizing, and understanding terrorism. There's a video lecture. There's a PowerPoint. There's some other information for you to look at. There's going to be a quiz and a discussion. Okay? Week 3, you can see how this works. Let me go up here to where you're going to have an extra assignment. In week 6, we're going to be covering Unit 5 or Chapter 5. We're going to look at terrorist organization and structures. You're going to have the video lecture, the PowerPoint, the key terms, all that stuff. You're going to have a quiz on Chapter 5 and a discussion on Chapter 5, because remember, that's how we study. And then at the end of that, in the same week, you have your first chapter exam, which covers the first 5 chapters. One thing to note as well, the chapter exams are not cumulative. So when we get down to the next chapter exam, it's only going to cover the 4 or 5 chapters that we previously covered. It's not going to go all the way back to chapter 1. So let me give you an example. Here in week 10, you can see we're covering chapter 11, and we've got the quiz and the discussion, and here's your second chapter exam, and here it's going to cover these chapters. Okay, but it doesn't go back to chapters 1 through 5, so it's not cumulative. And it's the same thing all the way down. You can see how all of this works. All right, so now what I want to do is just very quickly, I want to go to the class canvas. And let me center this a little bit better so you can see. Here we go. All right, so when you log in and you hit the home page, you're going to see, and I'm not going to go to the student view. On the left, you're going to have your navigation bar, and you're not going to have as many things on the navigation bar as I do here, but you're going to see the home page. You're going to see where you can see the syllabus, the modules. There's a link to the donut shop. Again, there's some information on the course. I've got a little video for you to watch. Here's the course description. It's got a lot of the information. It's got some of my instructor info. And then there's a little bit of information on how to get started with Canvas. So if you need a little more information on that. And then basically when you start, you're going to go here, and it's going to take you to another page of information. To look at the modules, to show you what they look like from a different perspective, everything is in these modules. Now again, your view is going to be a little different, but you will see week 1 has everything in the orientation module. So for week 1, you're just going to click and go through this. You'll have a copy of the syllabus here. You'll have the discussion board here and the quiz here. And then I've got some other things that are pretty cool for you to look at. I have some free training courses through FEMA, information on the Criminal Justice Club, some cool websites, the Bill of Rights, which is important, some information on the court systems, information on the Perkins survey, and we'll talk about that in week 1. I've got a separate module for your midterm writing assignment, and these are little modules, and you can walk through each one of those. But when we go to week 2, you can see week 2 is going to cover unit or chapter 1, and you'll have an overview. So let me kind of click into this so you can see it. And it may not be centered, so I'm going to center back over so you can look at this just a little bit. Okay, here we go. So it's going to have an overview of the unit, the objectives, and then you're going to hit next, and from there it's going to take you to the chapter introduction, and it'll have some text about the introduction and a video for you to watch. Then you're going to hit next, and it's going to walk you to the next thing, and here's where you're going to find your chapter PowerPoint. Just the PowerPoint. So if you don't want to hear my voice and you don't want to hear the audio lecture, then you can just click on the PowerPoint, or you can listen to the audio lecture, and that's going to be posted here. Now, I haven't done the lecture yet. I'm doing this video a little ahead of time because it's summertime. But this is where you will find your video lecture, the PowerPoint with words, kind of like what I'm doing right now. Then you click through here and you'll find the matching survey. Remember I told you about the matching exercise that's not graded. Then you click through here and you'll find the quiz. And you can see how this goes. So you'll take the quiz. Then you'll see here's the discussion board. And you have all the instructions on the discussion board. And then when you're done with that particular week, you'll see here that you made it. So that's how it's going to work. It's pretty simple. Everything that you need is contained, again, within every weekly module. When we go back to the modules again really quick so I can show you, just understand that, this is the week 1 introduction module, and then I have some special modules. Remember, I've got the FEMA training course, the Criminal Justice Club, the websites, the Bill of Rights, court systems. We'll talk about the Perkins survey. This is all the information that you would need on how to do your midterm writing assignment, including the video lecture. I have the PowerPoint slides on how to do it, but I also have the video lecture on how to do it. And then I have the week 2. So that's the week 2. If you look at week 3, chapter 2, it looks exactly the same because everything is really consistent. So hopefully that makes it easier for you. And then we'll go back to the home page so you can see what the home page kind of looks like. So when you log in, again, this is what you should see, and you'll see your navigation bar over here. All right, so that's going to conclude the syllabus review for, again, AJ117, Introduction to Terrorism and Homeland Security. There'll be more information coming forward. Don't forget to take a look at and go through the entire orientation module and navigate around in your course canvas to help you figure out where things are at. And with that being said, I'll talk to you all soon. But again, this concludes the syllabus review for AJ117.